Hello and welcome for another week of Vintage Online. I swear I will get back to Legacy at some point, but Vintage is just way too fun right now. The format is really experiencing a growth unlike anything that it has ever had before with the availability of the Power 9 on Magic Online. And so I've just been playing it nonstop and haven't really gotten enough. So this week is a really fun video because I saw a list posted by Rich Shea on Facebook and the Mana Drain where he talks about winning this tournament, or I think maybe like chopping the top whatever of the tournament with this really interesting deck. And so it's at its core a Grixis deck that wins with Tinker and Yawgmoth's Will. It has some planeswalkers like most other blue decks in Vintage, and it has your normal like powerful assortment of tutors and powerful spells and restricted blue cards. Where it diverges a lot is that it has Goblin Welder and Mindslaver to either lock decks out or just with any of a number of ways to get Mindslaver in the graveyard, either Dak Faden or Thirst for Knowledge or just I guess just those, but you can overdraw with Night's Whisper, you can overdraw with Library of Alexandria, or just tinkering it up and activating it for 4. You can have that as a more a less attrition-y, I guess, version of winning the game against a combo deck. Right? Like, if you get to choose when a combo deck in Vintage tries to go off, then they're probably going to end up with no cards in their hand and with, not a lot of permanents in play. And from there, winning is sort of trivial. You can win with Jace or with Mirror Battlesphere or whatever else. So, Welder lets you recur that if they're, say, playing a blue deck and you want to do it multiple times, since you can easily produce more artifacts each turn. It plays some interesting cards. Fire Ice is just a nice way of delaying the game while also having interaction against combo decks, right? Like, if you ice a land, then they might not be able to go off. If you have fire, then it's not like Dark Confidant can run away with the game, whereas there are several blue decks where if you play Dark Confidant and they, continue trying to play Magic, you'll just rip them apart. Instead of playing Dark Confidant, though, like most black, blue, whatever control decks in Vintage play, this deck plays Night's Whisper, which I love. I think that it's great, and the reason why it's such a cool card choice is that people are playing a ton of removal to deal with all of the powerful creatures in Vintage, whether it's Stoneforge Mystic and Restoration Angel, if people want to play that, whether it's Bob and Trigon Predator, if people want to play those, even Goblin Welder. There are just a lot of creatures that do powerful things. Deathrite Shaman, for instance, even Delver and Young Pyromancer. Creatures are at an all-time high. And so this tries to get around that by just relying on Night's Whisper and Baleful Strix as its draw. Baleful Strix is especially interesting because it gets around all of the Sphere effects in Workshop decks, right? So Sphere is just like all spells cost 1 more, which is fine. But Thorn of Amethyst is non-creatures cost 1 more, so it hits all of your blue draw and whatever. And Lodestone Golem is non-artifacts cost 1 more. So even if you have something like Bob or Trigon, then that becomes harder. But this is a creature artifact that happens to draw you a card and happens to hold the ground against a Lodestone Golem. So this is very much a nod to the prevalence of removal and the power of Mishra's Workshop in the format. Furthering that sort of artifact control antagonistic theme are a pair of Dak Vadens, which I'm convinced is still underappreciated for having more copies in the deck now than Jace the Mind Sculptor. I think that the card is phenomenal. I think that if you're playing it and Yawgmoth's Will in the same deck, then you're just going to end up with a ton of powerful interactions. And it solves the uniquely Vintage problem of sort of playing defense early and then not getting flooded late. And so gaining control of an artifact just lets you buy time. Usually your opponent will have a Mox or something, and being able to steal that will throw them off a turn. And then late, you just like take it up and you get a free careful study every time, which is phenomenal, right? Like it's more than twice as good as Merfolk Looter, and it happens to be a card that you actually want to play, unlike Merfolk Looter. And then you have a Jace, a Mindslaver, and a Mirror Battlesphere as ways that can sort of win the game on their own. And then a bunch of blue support, including a few more artifacts than are played in some other decks, just because you have Welder, you have Thirst for Knowledge, you want to have artifacts around. Moving on to the sideboard, you have a bunch of ways to disrupt the graveyard. Some care about Oath, some care about Snapcaster Mage. You have more ways to fight the blue mirror. You have ways to interact with creature decks, more ways to interact with workshops, yet more ways to interact with creature decks, and then combo, and then basic mountain. Whenever you see a basic land in the sideboard of a vintage deck, just always assume that it's for the workshop matchup, and it should be the color of the card that destroys their artifact. So if you're playing Steel Sabotages in your sideboard, you probably want a basic island. If you're playing Ingot Chewers or Vandal Blasts or whatever else, then you probably want a basic mountain. The reason for this is that they play 4 wastelands, and you want to be able to have a way to get your Ingot Chewers on the stack no matter how late the game goes, and hope that they don't draw their 1-of Strip Mine. So that's the deck, and now we are going to see it in action.